Yo, what's up, guys? It is me, Resikin. I'm honestly regretting having said that if you guys reach 100 likes, then we'll do a response video because this shit is 50 minutes. We're gonna try and keep it as brief and succinct as possible. But without further ado, I introduce unto y'all the ultimate Joker.
So I'd like to say I'm happy to be here, but I'm not due to the amount of time this will sink as we're both employed or in school individuals. But whatever. We'll be going
It's funny because I low-key have 2 tests tomorrow.
Whatever, I have to clock in like 2 hours. Let's get into it. Anyway, from what my lieutenants have informed me, this guy basically ended up defending or downplaying Gunn's behavior, regardless of him saying he didn't. So, we're gonna make a little point form list at the end of it. Let's start.
When I say the name Ultimate Joker, you're probably thinking of that nutcase I responded to regarding Insomniac Spider-Man, where he told Insomniac developers and fans to go off themselves. You might be thinking of when he said being gay is a bad practice to spread and compared it to smoking, and proceeded to complain about pride flags in video games. You might also be thinking about that time he made a smear video on myself and others, to which I responded to on my streams, and it eventually resulted in a stream discussion where we actually seemed to resolve everything and agreed to take down the content regarding the conflicts to stand by the peace that was made. That lasted for about 6 months, until Ultimate Joker...
It's funny because the way he's portraying the situation is that, oh, he was just, little old him making his slop content, and he just decided to make it about Joker in this case. And then we started going after him and initiated a smear campaign against him, when in reality, this whole ordeal was his idea and his mess to begin with. He just didn't expect it to backfire, considering the people he was associating himself with at the time. And even in regard to that, we wouldn't be using his friends as an example of him being a PDF were it not for the fact that he was accusing us of being PDFs because we happened to have someone in our server who made drawings years back outside of the server before he was even a member that they thought were problematic. And honestly, we thought were weird too once we came to know about it, but we don't really think it was sufficient grounds to have him removed, especially since he interacts with us on things like toys and figures. Unfortunately, this is like the 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th time that me and Joker say this, but this was a be-all, end-all for these people, which is why they raided our server, sent a lot of their bot fans into it, they were like spamming in all of the different channels, and then we followed up by responding to them in a video, because maybe if it was just that would have been a bygone. But the fact of the matter is that he and his friend Colin screenshotted what they did. They screenshotted their server raid and then they started posting it all around on YouTube. So yeah, don't dish it out if you can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, like, if Arachnid Youth had any, like, cases against him, like him, like, having actual CP being on a offender list, or, like, trying to pull an EDP and meet up with someone, like, younger.
Yeah, even if his friends were like that. Like, if he had a friend he would share his art with, and oh wow, he turned out to be, like, an actual possessor of this kind of stuff, that would be problematic.
Yeah,
right,
like
let's say that he attends or he attends, like, a PDF-themed party, and, like, there's actual PDFs there. Even if he didn't do any of that, that alone is enough of a pattern of behavior to definitively, or at least have a strong argument that he himself may be someone who engages in those practices.
Yeah, and what makes it even worse is that these people are basically trying to, like, argue against a textbook definition of what legally counts. And we're not really gonna budge to that crap. The crap that the Chronically Online calls problematic or a PDF file are things that the authorities do not. We look at things objectively.
Yeah, so we're getting all this nonsense out of the way from now because he's probably gonna keep repeating the same point over and over again, and there's no reason to pause the video and repeat what we already just said now for context, which you could have seen had you gone and watched the Web of Peter's video that we made, documenting and laying all of this out. But yeah, here's your little recap.
Hold up.
Youth, someone who explicitly stated and showed that he made a drawing that explicitly depicted Gwen from Into the Spider-Verse, who is 15 in the movie. But hey, it's not like Ultimate Joker cares about how deranged this is. He says, they're just drawings, therefore he doesn't care. Interesting how this is okay, but he fixates so much on tweets from James Gunn, when this is categorically worse. His pal Resikin, who you will see in this video, defends Ultimate Joker's position by saying he doesn't defend Arachnid Youth, but he simply thinks the criticism is overblown. Well, I don't know about you, but I usually don't say...
Okay, well, this is point 1 for the list. Just remember that he said that Gunn hosting PDF file themed parties with actual PDF files present is not as bad as the drawing, and a slew of other things that Gunn did that we'll get into in this video.
Well, he said he's sorry. Yeah, so basically what we already said, he didn't defend Arachnid Youth's drawings, just thinks the criticism was overblown. You know what? The audience can decide for themselves if they think that those old drawings are as bad as the things that Gunn did that we already exposed in our video. Like, I think that's all that needs to be said.
Joker's position by saying he doesn't defend Arachnid Youth, but he simply thinks the criticism is overblown. Well, I don't know about you, but I usually don't say it's overblown criticism to condemn someone for making drawings of a 15-year-old character, because most of us know that's gross. Oh, wait a minute. Spider-Gwen is modeled off Haley Snyder.
We actually did condemn all these things in the stream that he talked about. That, you know, that long-ass stream that he had me cut up, which took forever. And then even after I did that, he took a month to upload it. He kept stalling and stalling and stalling, waiting for the whole thing to blow over before uploading it, which was hella disingenuous, by the way. And that being said, he asked us in this video, which I don't know if it's still up, but you can go and see it, do we condemn this? Do we condemn like this kind of behavior? And we said yes. Me and Joker both said yes. So for him to say that we're not willing to condemn it is ridiculous. And we just said that criticism of it is overblown. Because yeah, we're not going to treat someone like James Gunn or the people that he hosted at his party for like making weird drawings.
Yeah, and that pretty much covers the whole reason we even relisted that original video. They deliberately want to bury the fact that they somewhat had to concede. You can call us a little disingenuous for going back on our word. We're willing to tank that, but we think we had valid cause, as shown in the description of that video.
Filled according to Resikin here. First of all, they look nothing alike if you look at them. Second of all, it doesn't matter because Gwen is still a 15-year-old in the movie. So
okay, yeah, I
guess.
Isn't
that like, isn't there like a condition where you can't like recognize faces? Because number one, he picked like weird angles of each one of them, but like just look up all the different side-by-sides and edits. There's clearly inspiration from the actor's face for the character model. Just like, let's say Fiona from Shrek. It doesn't look exactly like Cameron Diaz, but it's definitely loosely based on her face. Yeah.
Oh, you're beyond weird to use this point when people criticize drawings that, you know, depict her. She's 15. A child. Please stop defending this. So yeah, I think this gets a lot of claims out of the way and shatters Ultimate Joker and Resikin's credibility. They cannot be taken seriously whatsoever, and in fairness, this was obvious for many people remotely knowledgeable on the situation. So this response isn't really necessary, but it's more so feeding off another source of entertainment we can laugh at.
I'm doing this because I enjoy it.
Alright, pause. Okay, y'all are knowledgeable on the situation now. You can decide for yourselves. If you think that what we said means that we can be taken seriously and that we can, like, tweet everything you're seeing on screen right now and host, like, parties with actual convicted PDF files and attendance and somehow, you know, condemning the drawings but not kicking someone out of a server because it never had anything to do with our server and nor was the behavior ever even, you know, suggested at, like, it's your call, guys. It's your call.
Well, anyway, now that we're paused here, you guys should really take a moment to pause and read some of these tweets that are up here. I would read them myself, but I know that these people would probably just clip it and say that I said the quote, so you guys have to read it, unfortunately. These people have a disingenuous track record.
Yeah, and if Arachnid Youth, like, tweeted shit like this, if he had one tweet that was like this and someone showed it to us, that shit's getting fucking deleted, bro. Like, he's getting banned. Like, this is way worse, I'm sorry, especially since he's calling himself that.
As fun as it is to make fun of James Gunn's Superman movie underperforming and coming short of Man of Steel like all his other DC projects that failed to an even worse degree, we still need to have a serious talk about his dark, horrendous, vile track record that none of the small, medium, or large YouTubers are talking about.
Well, the reason for this is because my channel is a media discussion channel, not a deep dive into the people who make these works.
Or even
okay, you've made the effort to go after us over Arachnid Youth being in our server, and you have videos on Arachnid Youth. That's not a consistent value. You're a drama channel. A response slop drama channel with 95% of your videos being just that.
acknowledging James Gunn is a racist PDF file that everyone turns a blind eye to, just because they may like his movies, which is ironic given that we also live in an age of cancel culture where various YouTubers and celebrities have been condemned, whether the complaints be valid or not.
You do realize he lost his job at Marvel when this all surfaced? That's why it took a while for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to even be made. While I don't defend the conduct in those images, I don't see how that's proof of racism or attraction to children due to lacking context for these images. I don't know if this is some act or skit made in bad taste at this party, but if it is an act, that's not really evidence of his intent. By this logic, I'd have to call Topher Grace a racist for playing David Duke in BlacKkKlansman.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Even though his act seems more justified as it tells an important story compared to just some party filled with edgy and unfunny jokes. Regardless, the point being made is that proof of intent matters when making claims.
Why do you bring up that actor?
So,
anyway, you have at it.
Alright, so an actor following instructions on a script where he is portraying a villain is not the same as a bunch of people coming together, portraying a bunch of abused victims and dressing up as their abusers for fun. They're doing that because they get off on that kind of shit. Like we say in the video, it takes a lot to plan those kind of get-togethers. Not a skit. There's zero indication that it was that. He would do a lot of different edgy themed parties, just like blackface parties. Not saying it's the same thing, but it's in the same spirit. People dress up as in blackface because it's a theme. It's a skit, as you like to call it. It's for fun, it's acting. We're not actually black, we're just acting. So, by your logic, that's a skit, just as this here is an edgy skit where you're dressing up as PDF files and they're victims. So, yeah, again, we're not gonna get through to you because you do sound maybe a little slow. I guess that's just the way you talk, but I don't think you're so slow as to not get anything up until this point. I think you're just doubling down on, nah, I can't hear you. You guys are crazy. I'm just gonna keep going with what I've always believed in. There's nothing you can say to change my mind. Good for you. You know, at least you're consistent on one thing. But but comparing an actor who's playing the role of a villain for a paycheck to a bunch of people getting together for some shared fun time, one of which actually engages in that kind of behavior, is not the same thing.
Yeah, whatever. We're gonna get to the part of the video eventually where James Gunn has like 3 images like posing with a Confederate flag behind him. Anyone else would be like canceled to oblivion if that happened to them, but he gets a pass for some reason. Very odd.
Yeah, and he mentions that he got fired. Number one, that was a very temporary thing, and his career was actually boosted more so than ever before. After all of that came out, actually, he was rewarded for that behavior more so than punished, since he had 2 more movies greenlit with Marvel, and then he became CEO of DC Studios. So I think that tells you all you need to know about how this kind of behavior is rewarded in Hollywood. Well, that's another topic for another time.
Now we're wasting our time with this response video. This is all crap said within the original video itself. The response writes itself.
It's a lot of shit that's logical too. Like even in the comments, like a lot of these points have already been made. I think we're going to like from here on out just not respond to parts that were already responded to. I know that people like him are going to say, "Oh, you're doing that because you weren't able to respond." But I think the viewers understand that at this point, he's just going to be recycling the same talking points, and we're just going to be saying the same things that can be reasoned out by anyone who's above the average age of SK's audience pretty easily.
Only for Gunn's instances of extreme vile behavior to get looked over and even excused.
Well, I never excused the behavior. At most, I question the evidence you were using for specific claims, as I haven't fully dived into the situation myself. And I'm sorry if that offends you when I highlight when evidence isn't fully sufficient, but this is ideal when assessing claims. I did the exact same with Arachnid Youth. I didn't stand by any specific claims until the most concrete of evidence was found, because of course that matters. Speaking of which, showing that Gunn was named in a lawsuit doesn't actually prove anything. Anyone can be named in a lawsuit, that doesn't mean it was successful. If a lawsuit doesn't even make it to court, if there's no deposition or anything, then that tells me the case was dropped or dismissed for whatever reason. If you show me where this was proven in a court of law, we can maybe get somewhere. But I'm not seeing concrete evidence shown.
As James Gunn still stands to make millions of dollars. And then
The point is, Gunn was never summoned to court. It was for his best friend, Jimmy Uringer. And the case was settled outside of court. Of course, probably a large payment. Usually that kind of stuff is not, stated outright, especially if it's out of court. But yeah, it was settled for a large amount of money. But the fact of the matter is, it's your choice as to whether or not you want to believe the victim. I think there's a lot of evidence for the topic, and clearly there's enough evidence for them to mutually agree to take it out of court and settle it outside for what is likely a large sum of money.
Yeah, and in our last video, we sort of pointed out that this guy didn't really do his research on the subject before going into it, and he basically just admitted that for everyone to see. And one could assume so, like making a response video to such a vast topic that we did research on for months and getting it out in like pretty much, I think it was like less than 24 hours. Very telling. Very telling that they pretty much went into this video with the mindset, oh, I'm gonna defend Gunn no matter what, because he makes the slop DC movies I enjoy, and I'll never be wrong, even though the guy has like Confederate flag images he's posing in front of, and like probably the worst celebrity track record I've ever seen of someone currently working in Hollywood. It's a cook scenario. I'm wasting my time with this shit.
That's some dedication right there, though. Imagine he had that with Colin or his other friends.
somehow gets promoted to being the CEO of a deep, mature company like DC of all brands, despite his non-profitable, goofball DC projects.
Well, Superman made more than many of those movies listed, and The Suicide Squad released during a pandemic, which is why it was also put on streaming. So this is a bad example.
Along with
Well, actually, I have a video proving that none of those excuses are really viable. Like, whatever. Just watch the video, I'm not wasting my time.
Along with him originally being fired by Marvel due to tweets about his vile behavior, such as PDFphilia tweets, which, as you will come to see, is only the tip of the iceberg with Gunn.
Yeah, those tweets are pretty bad. Now just imagine if you drew art of characters in a gross manner. Oh wait, that's your friend who does that. Oh, and regarding the tweets, while I 100% condemn them for being in awful taste, I have proof that Resikin doesn't actually care about this conduct. Why? Well, here's a recent example of Resikin engaging in similar behavior. So I mentioned I was doing a stream on Ultimate Joker with the Gaming Rift, and Resikin has an interesting way of responding. Must stream down your face, R. Kelly style. Huh, well he specified R. Kelly style. What does he consider R. Kelly style? What could that mean? Oh. Well, looks like Resikin here is also making these types of jokes. So, in reality, he's no better than James Gunn's old tweets. He basically made one of them recently.
But even if it was just that, it doesn't...
Yeah, it was a Gaming Rift and SK just admitting that they're children. Doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah, and like, how is an insult comparable to Gunn tweeting that I liked watching that? It's like I liked watching, that kind of thing happen. Again, like we made this point in our video, but Gunn always inserts himself as the PDF file, and he does it not even like, oh, I'm a creep way. He's like, oh, this is good. Oh yeah, and obviously, insulting them in that way got them upset. So, mission accomplished, I guess.
Going into a 5-year-old girl. Don't believe me? Well, look at this genius lyrics page. But I guess if it's all for fun and jokes, or better yet, done by people associated with people you like, then it has nothing to do with actual pedophilia, right?
I had to skip around a bit to jump to when Resikin actually dives into the evidence, and I assume this is one of the things that these people are so hot on me to acknowledge and see. For starters, the case against this Jimmy Urine character seems pretty awful, and assuming what I just heard was true, I don't think this guy should have any involvement in one of the biggest Marvel productions. On the flip side, the only argument Resikin makes for why Gunn should have noticed the signs is the gross lyrics he has in his song. But those are lyrics, and therefore words, not proof of actual behavior. So it would fall into the same category of James Gunn's edgy tweets, alongside the Discord message you sent to us. A statement can be edgy and disgusting, but also not be proof of actual behavior.
Man, that guy is really... Wait, those lyrics are not normal enough to just excuse. That song shouldn't even exist whatsoever. You shouldn't be associating with a guy who writes stuff like that and sings it. Absolutely disgusting.
Let's play one of these is not like the other, alright? Writing a song about going into a 5-year-old girl, making a lot of different tweets and statements about liking children, insulting someone by saying that you're going to pee on their face, who's an adult. One of these is not like the other.
Dude, what are you talking about, dude? SK and Gaming Rift, they're not adults. They're children. 12.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
And you might be surprised hearing this in connection with someone who isn't Donald Trump's best friend or P. Diddy, but James Gunn was hosting parties before it was cool. As you can see in these images, Gunn hosted a To Catch a Predator themed party where he and his friends, one of those friends being Jimmy Urine, dressed up as pedophiles and their abuse victims. Hilarious, right?
Okay, so you're telling me that this is an act he did to reenact a TV show? That's still not evidence of actual behavior where he exploits minors. And don't get me wrong, I find this gross and in poor taste as well, since as I recall, that show involves actual victims, so making jokes like this, recreating these events, is in really poor taste, so I wouldn't blame someone for disliking James Gunn because of that. But this doesn't prove that James Gunn himself exploited minors or enabled his friends to do that. So how far can we take this?
And what an interesting coincidence that one of those attendees turned out to be an actual pedophile.
But notice how you have to use language like turned out to be, as if there wasn't sufficient evidence released until later. But hey, it can't be as coincidental as you associating with Arachnid Youth today, despite knowing he's a 15-year-old character, whereas there isn't proof of James Gunn knowing of Jimmy Urine's behavior.
Man, they're really focusing on the drawing as we're just delving into these more disgusting things. Whatever, keep going.
But the thing is, when I say turns out to be, it's sarcastic. It's not to suggest the evidence came out later. It's to suggest that it's obvious that someone's singing about this kind of stuff, making these kind of jokes, selling merchandise with little girls on it, ends up being a PDF file. Like, that's my point. I'm not saying, oh wow, the evidence came out later. It's like, no. It's like, the warning signs were all there. He was in a relationship with a minor, which Gunn may or may not have known about, despite being his best friend, and would constantly write songs and perform them about this kind of stuff. I mean, even fans of the band Mindless Self-Indulgence, which he's the lead singer of, if you look in the comments of like the different forums, even the old ones, it was kind of like an open secret that he was a PDF file because he wouldn't go out of his way to hide it. He was even arrested once, Jimmy Urine, for public indecency, where at one of his performances, where obviously a lot of girls and teenage girls are going to be at, like, he full-on exposed himself. So, again, this was not a secret. This is not something that turned out to be the case about him, which is why I said it sarcastically. Not to suggest that all the evidence only came out later, just that the warning signs were all there. And the Gunn should have known better than to host someone like that at his party. But he did know better. It's very clear that he did know better, because honestly, I think anyone watching this video, were they in the same situation, they would probably know, hey, I probably shouldn't invite this dude to my PDF file themed party, after everything he's done and said. But regardless, that's probably why they even had it to begin with. Birds of a feather, as they say.
Nah, you need to be more like SK, dude. You need to ignore the warning signs, dude. You could only operate when you have, like, complete, solid evidence, and you can't make any inferences whatsoever, even if they're singing about doing the very vile act and joking about them themselves doing it, like you just stated. Be more like him.
I mean, I don't know why we're expecting someone as chronically online as him to have basic social skills. Maybe we're asking too much of him.
Jimmy even allegedly abused the child while at that party, but since that claim is based more on rumors than actual documented evidence, it cannot alone be decisively used to condemn James Gunn. Call me crazy, but I wouldn't be shocked if not just Jimmy Urine, but most of the people who dress up for those kind of parties happen to be actual files.
So you acknowledge the party isn't sufficient evidence. I'm glad we agree.
Just like how his best friend Jimmy Urine wrote lyrics about himself going into a bar with a girl as a joke. James
Bro,
Gunn
where do these Redditors come from, man?
James Gunn talks about not wanting to have kids because they're cute little animals that you want to have with, but you control yourself around. That's near verbatim from the toy collector.
I really cannot wait to see how he justifies this one. I'm actually really curious.
As you can see on screen. Are you guys noticing the pattern between Gunn and his best friend yet? Anyway, while comedy shows like South Park makes offensive or even PDF jokes by putting them in the mouths of fictional bad characters, Gunn doesn't do that. He makes it about himself. He wrote in the first person, gave the character the same name as himself, and centered it on being a PDF file, an addict, an abusive partner.
I haven't read this book in full context, so I can't really speak on much of what was done in the
I don't think there's any context that saves this.
story, but throwing his name on the character isn't concrete proof of actual behavior or attractions. You're gonna need better evidence than this.
The story itself leans into escapism, which only makes sense if it's escapism for him.
Pause
But
it.
you don't write it.
What? This is on top of everything else. It's not like by itself. I mean, actually, even by itself, it would be really creepy and unsettling. Also, the PDF, no pun intended, of the book is available on Twitter, so I don't know, I guess it's too much to ask of you to do your own work, like cutting up a stream or, I don't know, doing your own research before making a video. But it's all out there. You can read it for yourself and maybe even write a review on it on your channel, assuming you can read for that long.
I'm sure you'll be into it, but yeah, yet another symptom of getting a video out like this in less than 24 hours. No, like, care taken.
In the first person like that, while using your own name, unless you want to explicitly visualize yourself in that situation. This isn't even mentioning the vulgar racism also in the book, where James Gunn in the book frequently and humorously drops hard R's.
Then he probably has a racist character in the story. What kind of argument is this?
He called the character himself. Wow, my gosh, I'm getting my brain rotted.
Are you seriously calling him racist? Because he wrote a character to be racist? Man, you might as well make that argument against Peacemaker, which, I mean, you would. You'd be the type of person to make that argument, so I don't...
Is Peacemaker named James Gunn? Is he referred to, is he like, it's like a first person story where he keeps saying I? What? What is this comparison?
Like, we already made it ourselves, because, like, the difference between, like, Jared from South Park would be that, okay, it's another writer making fun of someone else, not a writer, as I said, writing himself into the story and having the character behave like that. If I called someone the ultimate joker or whatever, and he was like saying he was tempted to do the nasty with his own children like James Gunn wrote about himself, I'd be called a creep. You guys would be making a video on me. But Gunn made the Slop superhero movie I like, so it's okay.
Even know why I said that.
I already know what some of you Gunnmonkeys are going to claim. Oh, it's just a book and not actually him.
Didn't you previously argue that fiction doesn't
Man, that's crazy. He actually did just say that about the book just now. Whatever.
matter and that Arachnid Youth has a legal age girlfriend when James Gunn has a legal age wife? Now that's not a defense.
The difference between Arachnid Youth and James Gunn is that Arachnid Youth has no cases of such suspicious behavior involving real life people, as opposed to James Gunn, yeah, who may have a normal life now, but it doesn't change what he said, the behaviors he exhibited, and the stuff he probably got away with behind closed doors, if we're all gonna be honest.
Where does that leave us? We've got James Gunn's best friend, someone he kept putting in his movies, openly expressing pedophilic tendencies, later proven to be an actual pedophile who also attended one of Gunn's pedophile-themed parties. Maybe we should just end the video here, since to many, that alone will be damning enough.
Well, you previously admitted that the party isn't conclusive evidence, and I've just outlined how song lyrics fall into the same category as Gunn's tweets. If you're making a claim about Gunn being a pedo, you're gonna need better proof than this.
But couple it with Gunn's own remarks and tweets over the
Pause
years
it.
about he himself
No, why is he just like rewording what I said? I said that there's no sufficient evidence to say that kids were abused at the party, because that's not formally outlined. But I didn't say that this is insufficient to make a judgment call as to whether or not he's a PDF file. Of course, me and Joker aren't saying any of that, but it's up to you guys, the audience, to decide.
Oh, I mean, like, people trying to take you out of context or reword what you're saying is a Spider-Man channel classic. I'm so glad to be a DC one now.
just like his best friend Jimmy Urine would do, and it paints a pretty clear picture. But that's not all, folks, because Jimmy Urine isn't the only pedophile Gunn's been associated with. Enter Tom Huddleston, an editor and close friend of Gunn, who, shocker, turned out to be a pedophile too, after having shared some more of those obscene jokes on pedophilia with Gunn. While Huddleston never officially attended one of Gunn's parties, his connection with Gunn may be equally disturbing, especially when you find out what Huddleston was ultimately arrested and convicted for. Well, Huddleston posted a video titled Prepubescent Girls Touching Themselves, which, yeah, is as sick as it sounds, and guess who reposted it on their blog, calling it the greatest thing they'd ever seen? James Gunn. Oh, just a joke, right? For one, what an interesting and quite recurring thing for Gunn to joke about. Do you know another thing that is recurring, though? That the people Gunn does these pedophilic things with as jokes keep getting in trouble with authorities.
We can call this out.
We can call this out. And convicted of possession and distribution of CSAM.
So your next set of evidence is that Gunn reposted a joke onto his site, which is no different from his behavior on Twitter that we've criticized. And to be clear, if this is in fact real, yes, this is gross, and I wouldn't blame someone for refusing to trust Gunn after he posted stuff like that. At the same time, I'd like to believe he has moved on from that behavior, but if there is evidence that he lied about changing, I would criticize that as well. But all you've shown here are jokes that he made or posted, not actual behavior. Notice that with the case of the Jimmy Urine guy, it seems like evidence was put out against him in 2021, meaning they didn't have anything conclusive in the past. That is, if I'm to assume they're even recounting this correctly. So until that happens to Gunn, I'm not concluding the things you're concluding.
Now, you can argue.
It's not like he's friends with like two people that he likes to talk to with about like things like soccer or Manchester United, and then like, oh my god, they turn out to be PDF files. No, like you're making jokes and reposting like PDF file things, hosting PDF themed parties with like these people in attendance, and they turn out to be PDF files. I think it's like night and day difference. Like, I don't understand what SK is getting at here, and I don't think he does either.
Must defend Gunn, must defend Gunn, must downplay Gunn.
What your friends are up to.
Sure, that's fair, but if the things you constantly talk about, host parties on, and make media based on, just happens to be the exact thing your friends keep getting arrested for years later, for realsies, don't be surprised when people start putting two and two together.
But you're not giving concrete proof. You're trying to make a leap in logic to get to the endpoint without the evidence needed to get there. And I can just as easily argue that many of his friends haven't been convicted, so they could be innocent as far as we know, such as Zack Snyder. And you've acknowledged that stuff like...
Wanna handle that one?
Is Snyder in the room with us right now? Okay, yeah, no, it's funny because I already said what I... See, I feel like I'm going crazy here. It's like, I said what I said in the video before I said it in the video, and then he heard it and didn't change his mind. I don't think him hearing what I said right now is gonna change his mind either. This is why response videos are stupid, in essence.
Yeah, well, Zack Snyder, I mean, the friendship between him and Gunn is a little overblown. It's like more like work buddies. There's no like quote of like Snyder calling Gunn his best pal in the world, or Snyder responding to, but you know, a video about these younger ladies touching themselves and then saying, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Snyder doesn't have that type of dirt. I'll re-emphasize that they're friends over film, but they've never really had these type of interactions with each other whatsoever.
Yeah, or else he would have been included in the video as an example.
Or whatever. Oh, must defend Gunn, must downplay Gunn. F Snyder, ooh.
Party isn't conclusive evidence. You need to actually show evidence of his behavior or attractions, which you haven't done.
And
behavior and attractions. Didn't this guy just have a bunch of like tweets that just straight up said, like one saying, whatever, I can't read it. I'm gonna show the tweet.
Like,
I can't read it. I'm gonna get clipped.
I think writing yourself in a book where you say that you're like, you know, the kids. What? What more evidence for attraction do you need? Do you know, like I'm sorry for the image. Like, you want to like put a kid in front of James Gunn and see his reaction to it. Like, you guys are so fucking weird.
Nah, dude, these people need to see the video of him doing the nasty. They need to wait until it's too late to actually, you know, infer something that's clear as day, but whatever.
I think that's maybe why they like the new Superman movie so much, because half that film is just spelling out what's happening to you. Or Peacemaker, for example, spelling out his own motivations. So I guess James Gunn needs to have an interview where he says, hey everyone, I want to let you all know that I am indeed a PDF file. I know I wrote about it in a book about me being that way. I know that I have a few friends that are that way, and I engage in that kind of behavior with them, or I host parties based on that thing around them. So a lot of people have already come to this conclusion, but you know, for the greater good, I just wanted to confirm it for those of you who are still on the fence or still don't understand or comprehend anything that's ever been said.
Don't worry, James Gunn. We'll say that you were joking about what you just said.
he's definitely a racist himself.
Whoa, that's a pretty big accusation.
You might be thinking, but is it really though? Because James Gunn not only hosted a pedo-themed party, but also hosted a Confederate-themed one, where they would dress up as racist stereotypes and put up Confederate flags associated with the slavery and subjugation of the African people.
Well, it's all jokes.
Doesn't change the fact that hosting such a party is deeply problematic, and really, only one step away from a blackface party.
I agree, it's problematic, and I imagine the gaming rift would say the same. But like with my example earlier, I wouldn't call someone who makes bad jokes about a apologist or a based on problematic jokes made about the subject. The same logic applies here.
Which, let's be honest here, he probably hosted already, but without taking pictures, given his track record and sense of humor. Just to clarify, this is me going out on a limb and inferring that he actually hosted one based on his pattern of behavior. So don't come at me acting like I'm presenting speculation as proof, because even if I won't conclusively claim something I can't back up with solid evidence, I'm going to give you the evidence so that you can decide what to make of it yourself, if you disagree with some of my inferences.
So, you admit that what you're presenting is inconclusive and based on speculation?
Crap, I already said the crap about the Confederate flag, but I'll repeat it briefly. No celebrity or person on YouTube is getting the benefit of the doubt of just saying, oh, they were joking when they posed in front of the Confederate flag 3 times. Whatever. We said this earlier.
Which means that Joker's claim at the beginning isn't backed by conclusive evidence. And to be clear, I don't have a problem with having suspicions for how sincere Gunn is about his intentions. However, not only is Ultimate Joker making definitive claims about him, but he's using said claims as a basis for his false accusations against myself and others. If Gunn gets exposed for being attracted to children or abusing them, I will publicly shit on him for this. But I'm not going to do so based on speculative reasoning.
And yeah, I'm biased here.
So, you fully admit that you're approaching this from a biased perspective, rather than one based on concrete evidence. I mean, you didn't need to tell us that for us to know, by the way.
If you've made it this far and you're still not swayed by everything we've gone over, then I don't want you anywhere near my siblings, cousins, nephews, nieces, or by the grace of God, my future kids, or around any kids at all for that matter.
This is coming from the guy who was comfortable with having Arachnid Youth in his Discord server when he defended the act of being attracted to babies as long as they're from cartoons. No, I'm not kidding, he actually said this.
Pause.
Take a look.
And I'm going to ask you a series of...
Alright, we're not going to play this clip because in the stream that we already did, we condemned this wholeheartedly. We condemned most of the things that Arachnid Youth did, and he knows that we condemn it and we don't stand by it. And he's never done anything remotely implying this kind of behavior or tangential to this kind of behavior. We even had a server member a long time ago who would constantly bring up PDF-philia and like PDF hunters, so he was always condemning it. But like, bro, why do you keep bringing up this topic? It's kind of irrelevant. Only reason we're bringing it up here because it's something the people need to know about. And for him to say that all of this is inconclusive, no, it's inconclusive to you because you can't come to a conclusion based on all of this. A lot of people are able to come to conclusions based on this evidence. Like I said, we're presenting the evidence and you can come to conclusions based on it. Yeah, of course I'm going to be biased. Do you think historians aren't biased against Hitler when they're putting together history books after everything he's done? Yeah, the more I looked into Gunn, the more I saw this kind of stuff, the more I realized, holy shit, this guy's a piece of shit. He's a horrible person. So yeah, that's what it means to be biased. And every opinion is objectively biased. We're not discussing science here. I mean, hell, even science can be biased depending on how it's presented. So maybe I shouldn't have said that because I thought that it would be a, let's say, confession of interest just to like keep the video moral overall, not pretend that, wow, it was revealed to me in a dream that we should go make this video. No, it was based on something that we looked into, saw a pattern of behavior, and decided to compile based on it. But I don't think you or most of your audience members clearly are at the level of maturity it takes to admit to one's interests before engaging into a matter. I think this is also why you present a lot of your own opinions as debunking those of others. You can't debunk someone else's opinions. You can debunk someone saying that the earth is flat by providing scientific reasoning, but you can't say that you're debunking someone saying something is bad by saying it's good. That's simply not how that word works. But again, you do have to have a certain level of intellectualism, not a particularly high one either. I would say maybe like a high school freshman level of that, and able to engage in any sort of civilized discussion. Which is why, again, me and Joker anticipated any sort of response to be, nuh-uh, what about, because that's lower than a high school degree of intellectualism. That's something you get in elementary school. Back when I used to get sent to the back of the classroom and sit on the timeout chair. But I've moved past that. You clearly still have not, at least not mentally. I mean, I guess maybe we all have it in a way since we're talking about superhero stuff, which, you know, is inherently for kids. It's not a bad thing. But, you know, there's serious adult time, and then there's kiddie Spider-Man and Batman time. I think you're just kind of perpetually in that kiddie Spider-Man, Batman time. Again, no offense to anyone in the audience. I mean, you should see my room. I got all sorts of figures all over the place. I love these characters. But there comes a time where you have to take life seriously and kind of put your biases to the side before you engage in anything. And unfortunately, I don't think that a lot of people have matured to that point, which again is not that high of a threshold.
Yeah, don't do my boy Batman that dirty, but yeah, kids, don't become a Spider-Man channel. Trust me.
I mean, it's not normal for a person to have multiple friends that are pedophiles. Could that perhaps say something about the person who does have so many friends that are that way?
Resikin, you're associated with Arachnid Youth.
The same guy whose borderline fetish for...
Okay, just call it Arachnid Youth a PDF file. That's
Yeah,
not
number
the
one,
definition.
and yeah, I don't think I ever called Gunn a PDF file in the video. Number one, and number two, did I ever like engage in that kind of behavior or like bring up the drawings or talk about pedophilia or children in any manner with Arachnid Youth? I guess you can accuse me of doing so in DMs, but number one, then we'd have to apply the same criteria to James Gunn, which we're not. We're applying the criteria based on what he's done publicly, which again suggests that he's probably done things privately that we don't know about.
So what does Gunn do when faced with criticism? What he replied to that interviewer was that the image he sees in his head when he sees such criticisms are that of Indians.
Yeah, you're straight up lying because that's not what he said. Here's what he actually said.
You know, I mean, obviously I relate to that. I do tune out most of social media, but every once in a while there'll be somebody who'll say something. It's always weird
What?
stuff. It's never weird
Wait,
stuff.
wait,
It's some weird
pause.
thing, I go, "God, that's
Hold
weird."
up, I didn't see the full clip. I saw the part he's gonna show now, but he does tune into social media. He's constantly beefing with random people. Like, this guy is chronically online, and it's very clear. This is interesting. So he's lying about the smallest of things, which is easily debunkable and easily accessible. So of course he's going to be lying about other things, Someone who lies about some things lies about a lot of things.
And then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, let it go.
Gunn isn't saying that his critics are from India. He's saying that in an isolated instance, he might just be getting mad at a 12-year-old from India. The purpose of highlighting the age is that who he's getting mad at isn't fully mature anyway, so it's not worth getting mad over. And likewise, highlighting that they're from India demonstrates the disconnect between the two. This person is so distant from his life that they're located in a country far away from him. So the logic here is that this person is so disconnected from him and his life that it's not worth getting so annoyed by this person, especially if they're a kid. So where did you get the rating that he's saying Indians are bad and are the only people criticizing him? It sounds to me like you wanted to draw the worst meaning possible because, well, you don't like this guy. This argument is so pathetic that even a 12-year-old from Canada who watches Mr. NoobTube Gamer could dismantle it.
It's like me getting told, oh,
Who is that?
Nobody that matters. But anyway, go
Yeah.
on.
Anyway, no, that being said, the first thing that comes to mind when he's talking about his critics are Indians. Or 12-year-old Indians. Again, that doesn't negate what I said. Yeah, sure, I portrayed it in a bare-bones manner. But it's not a manner that I came up with. It's what a lot of Indians on social media came up with themselves. So you can go argue with them about whether or not that means Gunn is racist. But when I see criticism and attribute it to kids from India, I don't think that makes it much better. Especially when overwhelmingly that is not the case. And if anything, his films are made largely to appeal to these 12-year-old kids, wherever they may be. I don't know why India specifically came to mind. You could have said halfway across the world, which is what normal people would say. I say it all the time, for example, but nope, he has to say India.
Actually, yeah, well, speaking of that, it literally just went over my head. He just admitted that Spider-Man YouTuber that just exists to glaze him off in streams is 12. Why is he in his streams as a 12-year-old talking about pedophilia? What the heck? That guy's 12? What? That guy was talking on the stream for hours about, like, Arachnid Youth and, like, diddler behaviors. Why is he getting a 12-year-old involved with this crap? I'm not even trying to say this as an own. Like, what the hell? That's gross.
No, but maybe that's why he got upset over me saying, like, stream on your face. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, like, one of the people on the stream was a kid. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it.
Why is he taking a kid in and talking about this crap? This is actually pretty messed up. What the hell?
Yeah. He said he was 12.
This guy basically actively involved a minor in the discussion.
That's stupid. That's like me saying, oh, the Superman costume is so bad that like even my 8-year-old cousin said it looked dumb and that it looked like he was wearing a diaper on the outside, which is true, but I'm not gonna cite that. I don't know like what you're saying here.
Dude, this is all messed up. I always make fun of these Spider-Man channels for being immature man-children or just straight-up children, and here it is being like literally the case. Oh my goodness.
Judges didn't like your performance, and my first response being, oh, probably some Indian judges didn't like me.
Yeah, because I'm sure we've never seen you attribute all criticism to a specific country or region. I'm sorry, what's this? Superman is expected to pass Man of Steel at the domestic box office tomorrow. Ultimate Joker is seething. Not really, though. His entire channel shtick is criticizing first world brainrottism, which is most prevalent in the United States, thus domestic box office and not global. It has been largely rejected at the international box office because, truth be told, only Americans and Westoids care about Batman being too violent or Superman not smiling enough, lol. So that's a worse statement than what James Gunn made because he was talking about an isolated, hypothetical instance. You just straight up said that, well, all Americans and Westoids care about these criticisms towards Zack Snyder's movies. Imagine if James Gunn went, yeah.
Pause.
You'll never catch a review like, oh no, Batman killed people, even though he did in earlier comics, or The Dark Knight Returns, which Snyder stated that his movie was inspired from. But regardless, I could talk about that for ages. But the point is,
I mean, over
more
here,
times than not,
even in the gameplay, even in the gameplay video, he's like smashing people into power grids. Yeah, they're definitely dead. I don't know what to tell you.
nah, the detective vision said they were like unconscious. I'll give that some benefit of the doubt. But the point is, you're never gonna catch a review and the guy has like a Russian, Grenadian, or any other form of non-first world accent. These criticisms exclusively, for the most part, come from a first world country. Hence Superman's movie bombing internationally.
Yeah, and like, yeah, the numbers don't lie, and like Americans themselves have pointed this out that, wow, this is doing a lot better domestically, and a lot of people actually on Twitter, some of which follow SK. Again, we're not gonna judge him based on his followers, are saying shit like, oh, the new Superman is too complex for them, and the reason the previous DC films did better is because they were stupid and had action, and that's all international audiences care about. And yeah, that's a narrative that's like been very recurring. So again, just like their cult leader Gunn, they jump to racism to say why people don't like this movie or why it's not doing well overseas.
Yeah, whatever. They could argue with the numbers. It failed internationally. That's a be-or end-all. We were right.
Truth be told, only Indians care about bad CGI and wonky VFX. If he said something like that, you'd be rushing to call him a racist. But that's not what he said. And funnily enough, that's actually what you ended up saying about Americans and Westoids. So, looks like Resikin is a racist or xenophobe by the very logic he's presenting. Whoops.
Pause.
Well, speaking of younger viewers,
I'm an American myself, buddy.
Anyway, in a statement, James Gunn insisted that fans of the new Superman movie go and watch the new season of Peacemaker, as he said it was very crucial to understanding what was going on in the DCU, as it takes place directly after Superman, and prominently features characters from it like Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. While the announcement raised a few eyebrows given Peacemaker's very inappropriate tone and subject matter, not to mention its R rating, nobody knew how bad it was going to be until the second season actually dropped. That's because it featured an orgy. It's not like it was a quick scare or a throwaway gag. No, it's like a full-on, over a minute sequence with slow motion of people being butt naked and showing everything, every type of body part. It's something that the director of a kids movie recommended fans of the kids movie to go watch right after Superman. Because whether you like the movie or not, Superman was objectively a movie that would appeal to kids from the CGI Superdog to the overly goofy tone.
There's no way you think this is a good point. HBO Max has parental controls to prevent children from watching inappropriate content. It's your job as a parent to prevent children from watching inappropriate shows. And it's not just kids who watch Superman, adults watch this movie as well. So when he says fans of Superman will want to take a look at Peacemaker, he is still correct. I mean, I don't know for sure because I haven't seen season 2 outside of the sloppy opening retcon, but regardless, the show isn't marketed for children. This is like criticizing the MCU because they allow Deadpool or Daredevil to be connected to the MCU, when most of their content is PG-13. This is such a desperate argument.
Deadpool or any other rated R superhero movie did not push the envelope as badly as what was shown here, but I'm not even gonna really respond to the rest of it.
Yo, also,
like, the rest of my
also
own
the parental control thing, like, I'm sorry, but like I feel like any kid with an IQ over 90 has been able to get around parental controls if they really wanted to. Like, I feel like this is a near universal thing. It's not like me, oh, I'm the supreme intelligence, because, you know, that's you, obviously, but like, it's not that difficult to like find a way to access, you know, the parental version of something, whether it be like accessing your parents' profile when they're not there, you know, hiding behind the counter while they put the password in, or basically, like, there's so many different ways for kids to bypass that and play rated M games. You don't see the developers of FIFA saying, hey, go play GTA 5 right after this, for example.
When James Gunn told fans of the new Superman movie to go watch it right after, he didn't specify adults or even point out its R rating.
It literally tells you on HBO Max. It would be in the marketing as well. I'm sorry, does Tom Holland or Charlie Cox need to specify that Daredevil is not for kids every time there's a talk of a potential crossover? Or whenever Hugh Jackman or Ryan Reynolds talk about
Daredevil? As I said earlier, none of those shows push the envelope as much to the point where it would get an X rating. Let's not compare, like, blood and gore, as I say in the video, to, like, a full-on orgy that's, like, probably as close as you could get to, like, actual corn without actually doing it, even though you see, like, dongs all over the screen to the point, as I said in the video, we can't even show any of it.
Like, that kind of stuff, like, traumatizes children. That's why, like, you know, exposing yourself in front of a child, like, is so damaging and traumatizing, because a lot of kids, hopefully most kids, have never, you know, seen such things before, and for them to see it like that, especially from a place of innocence, like a superhero thing with John Cena, like one of the most beloved figures to kids all over the world. Shame on him for taking on such a role, by the way. That's why I respect The Rock, because he respects himself too much to debase himself the way that Cena has done over and over and over again, knowing that millions look up to him. But that's another topic for another time.
Yeah, and as I'll repeat, the rated R in other superhero media isn't as bad as it. The worst you'll get is like a flash of titties in like Logan and Watchmen, as opposed to a dong for like extended minutes of time. We're not comparing this crap.
Crossing over with Spider-Man, this is such an idiotic standard. It's no wonder I haven't heard of this until a couple of Snyder cultists decided to make a video on James Gunn.
Which might debatably be fine on paper if it was just as rated R as Penguin was, in tandem with how the rating is displayed on the streaming service. But with how absolutely disgusting the scene was to include in the DCU.
It's funny he says Snyder cultist, and then immediately, like, we use the Penguin as an example, which is a great show, and, like, Joker even has a video on it. But I guess if you don't, like, fucking love the MCU and the DCU and, you know, whatever cornball shit they're doing, then somehow you're a Snyder cultist. And again, we have a video talking about how Rebel Moon was mid. We didn't even watch the second one, that's how much we didn't like the first one. But, yeah, as a DC fan, if you don't consume all slop that comes your way, then you're a Snyder cultist. That's SK for you. Now that you've said it, Joker, one of the main criticisms of the DCU, even though it only really applied to the first few films, was that it was too dark and edgy. Like, we need a lighthearted and, you know, fun DC, only for us to get someone who makes films that are even edgier, but rather than being dark, they're stupid. So they wanted stupid and edgy movies rather than dark and edgy ones. So, you know, exchange actual stakes for orgies, and do you bleed for sucking dongs on a beach, and I guess that's peak DC to a lot of these man-children. Which is funny, like, the more that you think about it.
I don't think you actually care about the standard you've set. You only care about it because it could maybe make James Gunn look bad, when all it really does is make you look like an idiot.
No,
the people responsible for this degeneracy? No.
It's kind of funny because I was on SK's server for a little bit, and then he banned me because once it became obvious that Superman Volume 1 was not going to outgross Man of Steel, like, I started making fun of the fact, and they just banned me immediately, which, you know, I guess they were feeling a little emotional at the time, so I can't blame them. Would I have done the same? Probably, but, you know, I guess we'll never know. All that being said, the people on his server, I think including SK himself, made fun of me because I said part of the reason I didn't like Spider-Man Homecoming was because a throwaway line in that film was when Ned's mom walks into him, like, on the chair helping out Peter. And she's like, "What are you doing? Shouldn't you be at prom?" And he's like, "I'm watching, you know, the P Word." And they all start making fun of me. He's like, why do you care about that? It doesn't matter if kids watch that. It's like, it's PG-13 for a reason. So similar copes, but not to that extreme of a degree. So for you guys to be insinuating that we're only doing this because we don't like James Gunn is far from the truth, especially since I don't have any beef with Tom Holland or John Watts or any of that. So again, you're looking for inconsistencies where there aren't any. The best you can come up with is some dude who made drawings that, number one, was outside of our server, number two, we were unaware of, and number three, there was never any suggestion or implication from him surrounding or concerning such behaviors. So again, keep grasping for straws, but all you're doing is coping.
Their side when they got exposed? Where's your evidence of that? Asked. He didn't only specify the tweets, so he did in fact apologize for any and all instances of him doing this. Also, how do you know that he didn't condemn his friends? Are you suggesting that he was on their side when they got exposed? Where's your evidence of that? And James doesn't need to apologize just because he happened to be friends with people who turned out to be bad.
Well, you can't know what your friends are up to.
Sure, that's fair, but if the things you constantly talk about, host parties on, and make media based on,
happen to be the exact thing your friends keep getting arrested for years later for realsies, don't be surprised when people start putting two and two together. Happen to be
DC fans are winning. Snyder fans, bro, they're in the fucking dumpster right now. They think that they're gonna get something back. Bro, it's gonna be wishful thinking until their deathbed. It's gonna be insane. Especially with this next topic too, which is something I want to talk about for a while now, which is James Gunn apparently being a PDF file. And these two bum kids, Ultimate Joker and Resikin, both came out with a video talking about all the old tweets about it. I can't wait for 2027 with the Batman Part 2, Clayface next year, Supergirl next year, Lanterns next year. DC fans are winning. Snyder fans, bro, they're in the fucking dumpster right now. They think that they're gonna get something back. Bro, it's gonna be wishful thinking.
Box office will speak for itself.
Especially since we don't even need inflation. Whatever. These guys like to argue with numbers. The chronically online does not represent the general public.
Until their deathbed. It's gonna be insane. Especially with this next topic too, which is something I want to talk about for a while now, which is James Gunn apparently being a PDF file. And these two bum kids, Ultimate Joker and Resikin, both came out with a video talking about all the old tweets of James Gunn, trying to expose him. But this whole point that they make of guilty by association falls flat, because you can turn it on.
As you can see in my post where I shared it on Twitter, literally said in the title that the evidence will reveal the situation to be far more sinister than old edgy tweets. I mean, just looking at you, you don't look like the smartest guy in the world, but you probably weren't the dumbest guy in the trailer park that you grew up in.
He's sort of like the other gremlins we were just dealing with. He's gonna stand by Gunn no matter what, or downplay it, or whatever the fuck they want to call it, as they say, oh, we're not defending, we're just saying that, the PDF parties doesn't really mean anything, whatever.
Both came out with a video talking about all the old tweets of James Gunn, trying to expose him, but this whole point that they make of guilty by association falls flat, because you can turn it on Snyder real quick with like Ezra Miller or Jared Leto, you know, the guy that has a cult and has a bunch of grooming allegations, or Ezra Miller, who also had a grooming allegation.
Was Zack Snyder talking with them about grooming, making jokes about grooming, hosting grooming themed parties? Like, let's assume that everything you just said is true. Was Zack Snyder at the island that Jared Leto has his like little cult things at for his band? Was he? Did he actually maybe, I don't know, host him and his cult at, let's say, a party? Did he? Did he repost something that Ezra Miller said about, you know, hitting women?
Yeah, there's a difference between one of the most loosest of loose associations of just happening to work together, and then everything you just said. These people are trying to treat them like they're one and the same, just so they could defend, oh, the celebrity with like the worst track record ever seen in terms of someone currently working.
Crazy, because I already addressed this in the video. I said some people might be saying it's guilt by association, but when people you make jokes on a certain topic with and engage in parties with and associate with them based on this thing, get arrested for that exact same thing that you keep talking about with them, then, you know, that's going to raise some eyebrows. But again, I feel like sometimes I talk for no reason. It's kind of, you know, the sad reality of internet discourse that people are going to go into videos with their minds already dead set on what they believe in. So it doesn't matter, like, if you provide all the evidence in the world, they're not going to change their minds.
Whatever, dude. You can see the kiss-ass consumerism in his fucking white race-swapped cosmonaut face, bro.
It's funny because I looked at his channel, one of his top videos is like him like talking about BVS's ending and talking about how he thought it was a good movie. So
whatever, the flip-flop will not be stopped.
Yeah. I mean, guys, it could be turned really easily on other people as well. But James Gunn, apparently knowing two PDF files that were convicted, honestly clears his name even more. Because if those two people got caught up in court and were investigated, wouldn't that show through their computers that they were saying things to James Gunn? Wouldn't they try to rat him out and try to say, oh yeah, this guy is also the same that we are? But nobody ever came forward and said that. No allegations, accusations. Kids say that James Gunn touched them. None of this. But people still want to claim this, and it's just bizarre. You know, these two kids try to come after people that defended James Gunn, but they can't really say that about me because, well, I actually called out James Gunn when he was making those tweets, or when those tweets came out back in 2018. I called him out. I made videos about it. I literally have a tweet thread showing everything that he said. So you can't say that I was defending him. What I am saying, though, is that you can't legitimately call him.
I mean, you just came out of left field. Like, we've never heard of you or who you are. So we weren't making those claims about you. Well, sure, at least you did call him out about the tweets. But again, the video was not about the tweets themselves. I don't know why you think it changed. Also, your point about them not ratting him out, that's actually a good point. It's a valid one, at the very least. But I think some random editor and the singer of like a niche band probably going to have a lot less protection than, I don't know, one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. Just something to think about. Also, Epstein. That's, you know, Epstein didn't rat out anyone that he was working with after he got arrested. Of course, it's not the same situation. I mean, neither did Diddy. Do you know all the celebrities that were with Diddy? He didn't name a single one of them. He didn't take any of them down with him, because that's not really how these kind of things work in the industry.
Yeah, and even then, if they went through, like, devices and stuff, they're probably smart enough not to send this crap with, like, their real names directly tied to it. Probably all anonymous accounts.
a PDF file. Is he weird for those tweets? Yes. Is he really bad for those freaking parties? Absolutely. But when there's investigations done that show no wrongdoing, it's kind of hard to say that. These guys, on the other hand, ultimate Joker.
I don't think he was ever.
This guy had somebody in his.
He was never formally investigated. That's kind of like what Joker calls for, I think, in the video itself.
Discord called Arachnid Youth. This Arachnid Youth guy was sharing content of explicit.
Okay, yeah, we already discussed this. This guy was clearly directly fed notes from like SK or some other Spider-Man gremlin. This guy has had zero interactions with us whatsoever to have properly looked into any of the cases we made clear earlier in this video. And yeah, we're not really going to waste time on parroting details.
What we're responding to him is because he was kind of begging us to, and we wanted to be nice.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the special ed kid just wants to sit next to you on the lunch table. Well, anyway, that's about it for entertaining these slop YouTubers who pretty much defended or downplayed Gunn's various acts. The points on the screen are those that SK and most of his fellow Gunnmonkeys like to make to debunk our expose of James Gunn. So yeah, make of it what you will. Obviously, we had to cut some parts out because if we let an already extraordinarily repetitive 52-minute video play out in its entirety and respond to it, then it would have just been a waste of everyone's time. We have some loose ends like worms beneath our notice such as Gollum Grift, who isn't worth the time of day giving another video, or other slop YouTubers that came our way. Just remember that all these Spider-Man YouTubers came after us first. We didn't even know who any of them were beforehand. As for KinoFlex taking back what he said in our little interview, KinoFlex has never DM'd us personally on this matter, as he's likely just wussing out to SK for more video shares, or so that SK doesn't go after him like he did to his buddy Colin. But whatever is or isn't true exclusively falls on KinoFlex, who reached out to us with this information that he claimed was true in the video that we made. The video will stay up as parts of that video document what these Spider-Man YouTubers tried to call us and what they did, such as targeting jobs. But that's the final chapter of this saga. The story ended the way I wanted it to, with these screwballs being exposed as morally inconsistent jokes hung up on drawings over actual cases. No matter how much the chronically online views outnumber us, we'll sit right knowing that any mature working class adult is going to see things far more clearly than these Gunnmonkeys. This was already an exhausting video to make, so if you made it this far, we salute you, or maybe you should consider some form of employment. But seriously, thanks for watching. I don't care if this gets 1,000 likes, let alone 100, as that's not the type of content we do on this channel. If you want sheep poop content, then go to SK's Barnyard. Y'all are here for some gourmet cooking, so...
That's all, folks. All right.